Imagine putting yourself in a dangerous situation to help your friend. You're alone and scared every step of the way. But you're motivated to keep going by the thought that you'll soon find them and together you'll get out of here. But then, when you reach the end, your friend is nowhere to be found. They're not here. You've been alone this whole time. Alone with a monster that tricked you. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach Ruin was a DLC that carried a great deal of meaningful substance to its plot, characters, and set dressing, despite its short runtime as a game. Though today, as per the title of the video, I'm not here to talk about the entire DLC, just the final act. In the Ruin, you play as a girl named Cassie who has been called to the remains of Freddy Fazbear's Mega Pizzaplex by her friend Gregory. He's been trapped in a sinkhole under the facility and needs her help.
Is someone there? Help! Are you there? Are you there? I'm trapped.
Gregory? I got your message. Where are you?
Help! Something grabbed me! You won't let me go! You have to find me! I'm trapped in the sinkhole under the raceway!
Determined to save him, Cassie ventures into the ruined building, taking on the animatronic threats lurking in the shadows one by one, until she finally reaches Gregory's location, only to find out that it's not Gregory at all. He was never even here. What steps out of the shadows before her is a tall, hideous endoskeleton with orange eyes. What approaches Cassie is the Mimic. Cassie runs for her life through dark tunnels as the Mimic chases her, and eventually she reaches an elevator, just barely managing to get inside as the door closes, catching the Mimic's arm and snapping it off. As the elevator ascends, Gregory begins speaking on the intercom, telling Cassie what he knows about the situation. The Mimic had pretended to be him to trick Cassie into letting it free, and now that its plan succeeded, Gregory can't allow any risk of it getting out and following him. He apologizes to her before the elevator suddenly begins to fall.
But we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory? No!
Now, let me explain why this ending messes me up so much. You see, throughout the game, Cassie talks to who she believes is Gregory multiple times, and each time this happens, each time you progress to a new area, there's this building dread and suspense in the background. Even if you're not a FNAF fan, you can already have a pretty good guess that whoever we're speaking to is not Gregory.
You did great. You're getting closer.
How do you know? How are you doing any of this?
I'll explain it all when you get here.
And so as we move forward, any sense of accomplishment is replaced by anxiety, because we are just helplessly watching as Cassie spends the game walking herself into a trap. This anxiety culminates when you finally clear the entire building and Cassie arrives just outside the door leading to the sinkhole. Now there is no more delay, no more putting it off. It's time to confront whatever is waiting in the basement. Though there is something I should mention that I left out of my earlier summary. Something of key importance. Roxanne Wolf, one of the now ruined glamrock animatronics, stands between Cassie and Gregory.
Cassie, can you hear me? I finally have a clear signal.
Gregory, I shut down all the security nodes. I'm in the Roxy party garage. Am I close?
Almost. There's still one node left that's keeping the underground sealed.
Where?
Roxy's the final node. You need to deactivate her.
But...
Deactivate her and save me. Save me, Cassie, please. It's so dark down here.
I remember being so terrified after hearing this because I was expecting a whole boss fight with Roxy, and I was just not mentally prepared to go up against her at all. But I was actually more unprepared for what ended up happening.
Roxy.
Cassie. Cassie. Welcome back, Cassie.
You remember me?
Your special day. I remember. Your special day. Do you still like carrot cake? It has been some time since I saw you last. If I remember correctly, it is on the 11th. I remember because you are number one. Twice. Have you booked your party? I'm sure your friends will show up this time. Cassie? What are you doing?
Sorry.
I love carrot cake. Happy birthday, Cassie.
Roxy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
In a stunning turn of events, Roxy doesn't attack Cassie. Instead, they share a heartfelt moment. If you couldn't tell already, Roxy is Cassie's favorite of the glam rock band, and they share a history. Roxy was there during a birthday party Cassie once held at the Pizzaplex where no one she invited had shown up. It was here that their bond was solidified and Roxy became something of an older sister to Cassie in a way, which is why this act of reluctant betrayal from Cassie is more devastating than a boss fight would have been. It's all the more sad with how blissfully oblivious Roxy's final words are. It just feels like something you would see in Toy Story.
I love carrot cake. Happy birthday, Cassie.
This behavior from Roxy is a shift from how she was earlier in the DLC, where she was an enemy. However, the reason why Roxy is a threat to Cassie earlier on was simply because she assumed Cassie was actually Gregory, whom she still hates for taking her eyes away. But when she first hears Cassie's voice, it shocks her.
Give me back my eyes!
Ah! Let go! Let go!
I'm sorry. Error.
Roxy being nice to Cassie is understandable, but it seems like this took some kind of effect on her, because I'm not sure why Roxy lost all awareness of the state of the Pizzaplex. For example, asking Cassie if she had booked her next party here. But the point is, Roxy realizing who Cassie is came at very tragic timing. In that moment, Cassie chose one friend over the other. And now you might be wondering what really makes Gregory so important that Cassie prioritized him over her connection with Roxy. Well, you see, out of all the other children Cassie had invited to her birthday party, Gregory was the only one that attended, as shown in an image where Gregory is comforting a crying Cassie, presumably on her birthday, thus explaining how their friendship came to be and why Cassie would choose to put herself in danger for his sake. I would imagine most people would feel compelled to go to great lengths for someone who showed up for them. And to a child, having someone be the only one to show up to your birthday party probably counts as something monumental. And so it is done. Cassie says goodbye to Roxy and finally enters the sinkhole. As she descends, she begins to cry, mourning the loss of her animatronic friend. There's this raw, ugly emotion that this invoked in me that I can't explain. I was already filled with a lot of dread entering the sinkhole when I first played this, and it was now enhanced by what had just happened with Roxy. As if this innocent girl walking into a trap wasn't enough, she essentially has just killed her favorite character. It adds so much to the discomfort of this moment. It's so much scarier walking through a dark, abandoned area when the child protagonist is alone and crying. It also shows how Cassie feels about what she's just done and what Roxy meant to her. It's very human and a very clever decision. I'll never forget that first time I entered the lower levels, rode the elevator down and set foot into the caverns, all while Cassie sobbed. And I think the reason why this sticks out to me so much is because Cassie's crying and the ambiance of the environment are the only sounds for a long time. There's no music, no speaking, everything else was just silent. And to me, that silence was crushing. Like, not deafening, crushing. It was a physical pressure on my body. That's the kind of dread that I felt. Moving on, Cassie comes across a decrepit old building where she finds a broken down, but still functional, Candy Cadet.
I am a candy cadet. Come get your candy here. I have candy all day, every day. Candy.
With the Faz coins you've collected throughout the game, you're able to hear a brand new story from our cryptic Candy bot.
Candy, now I will tell you a story about a mother and her little boy who lived alone in a cabin in the dark woods. There was a monster in the woods, but the mother caught it and kept it locked in the basement. The monster always made scary noises at night, but the mother would tell the boy not to worry because it could never get out. Then she would sing the boy a lullaby to sleep. One day, the monster stopped growling and instead listened and learned the lullaby. The next day when Mother went out to find food, the monster sang the lullaby from the basement. The little boy heard the lullaby and opened the door.
That story is already haunting enough, but it also serves as foreshadowing to what's about to happen. A monster used mimicry to get a child to set it free, matching the mimic's current plan with Cassie as the pawn. Cassie proceeds down long flights of stairs until she finally reaches a room where a massive wall of concrete has been poured behind a door. Gregory calls out to her from within, saying that he's inside.
Gregory! Are you in there?
The stupid door won't open.
Well, it looks like someone poured concrete over the door. How am I supposed to get rid of concrete?
After opening the door and powering on a forklift, Cassie manages to break the wall open, freeing...
You okay?
You saved me. You saved me.
Gregory? I'm Gregory. You're not Gregory. What are you?
Cassie steps inside the room only to find the mimic hunched over in a corner, speaking in Gregory's voice. When she makes the realization, the mimic tosses the walkie-talkie he'd been using at her feet and he rises. But just before he can grab her, someone steps in.
I'm Gregory.
Cassie, get out of here! Run!
Cassie flees into the tunnels as Roxy fights the mimic off. This is when Gregory finally reaches Cassie and tells her, too late, that he's not at the Pizzaplex at all.
Cassie, can you hear me?
Gregory? Is that really you? I mean, really you?
I've been trying to reach you all night. I'm not at the Pizzaplex. Something's trying to trick you.
You're a bit late. This thing in the basement sounds just like you. How do I know this is you for real?
Is there another option? You need to get out of there now.
How?
My friend has access to the building map. Just follow instructions.
Just then, the mimic rushes out behind Cassie and begins pursuing her through the tunnels as Gregory guides her toward the elevator.
Cassie, it's me. need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the Pizzaplex. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The Mex's security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security, and now it's free. It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory? No!
I needed to let the scene play out before dissecting it from the beginning because there's a lot I want to unpack. Starting with the moment Cassie enters the room. The bubble of anxiety that has been building up this entire game finally bursts when Cassie sees the orange eyes peering at her through the darkness. The suspicion that Cassie was lied to is proven correct, and now we are left to fear for her safety helplessly while she stands before the Mimic. The Mimic repeating, "I'm Gregory," is a powerful detail, which makes me think of two possibilities. The first being that when Cassie calls out the Mimic's lie, it repeats itself because he wants her to believe it up until the very moment of her death. The second being that this was just to show the Mimic giving up his facade before our eyes, with his voice distorting and him rising to his feet. But I like it a lot. He very much appears like a cunning monster who sees that there is no reason to lie anymore because now Cassie will no longer be around to tell anyone, until Roxy saves her. Now, I understand what some people have said about Roxy's rescue being too soon after her scene with Cassie. There's also the fact that Roxy had to travel a great distance down into the sinkhole to get to Cassie in time. But honestly, aside from Roxy defying the laws of physics, I can look past this because of how much this wrecks me. Roxy holding the Mimic off for as long as possible while Cassie escapes is touching already. But think about what this represents. Roxy has spent her whole life prioritizing herself and herself only. She's always focused on being the best, being perfectly above everyone else. But this time, for possibly the first time ever, we see her putting someone else first. Roxy jumped headfirst into a fight she probably knew she wouldn't win, or even survive, but it didn't matter. What mattered was buying Cassie time to escape, a selfless act. She wasn't thinking about winning or being the best, just protecting Cassie. And quite visibly, she lost, but not before she gave the Mimic a pretty grisly fight. The gasp before the final crash is really disturbing. It's made even more intense by the creepy soundtrack in the background as well. As for the Mimic, I believe Secret of the Mimic gives some new context to this encounter. We know the Mimic is pretty vindictive, and there's something I keep thinking about for this ending. Remember Moon.exe, the game where, according to community census, you're most likely playing as M2, when you put on the Roxy hat and the game goes, "You wore this until it fell apart. Everyone loves Roxy." I know I'm probably just reaching, but it's just the fact that the Mimic may have once felt a fondness of Roxy, probably because of its original task to mimic David. Also, one of David's first birthday gifts was the Roxy puppet, so like, and now here he is, face to face with her once again, only to rip her apart. Another piece of his past that he's infuriated to see. If you listen closely to the fight audio, he even starts imitating her as they battle, mocking her in her last moments. And just that final line from Moon.exe, Roxy saying,
Everybody still loves me, right?
Another thing, this might especially be a stretch, but imagine if the Mimic heard Cassie's conversation with Roxy before she deactivated her. I like to imagine him getting flashbacks from those words, and it fuels his ferocity when Roxy confronts him. like he's extra spiteful and bitter because of it.
Your special day. I remember. Your special day.
I baked it myself. For David's special day.
On top of it all, the Mimic also just has a really cool design in Ruin. He really looks like some kind of old, decrepit creature that's unstable. His teeth are especially unnerving to look at. He's held together by mismatched old parts, and I wonder what he went through over the years to need his body changed. But it's only natural given how much time has passed between Secret of the Mimic and Ruin. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty solid showing for the Mimic. Like, despite how his body has changed and he's slower now, he's still really strong, which is shown in the way he throws the forklift out of his path. Like, his whole animation of him leaping in front of Cassie is super cool. There's also this really good jump scare he has. And while the final chase through the tunnels isn't all that special, the music arranged for it is super impressive. It conveys the urgency of escaping from something that you shouldn't have discovered. You've played into M2's hands and now you're of no further use. Run and pray. Which brings us to the elevator. I love the way this cutscene is done. The Mimic glaring at Cassie as the door closes and his arm getting snapped off is awesome. And what happens afterward is even more chilling to me. What solidifies this as scary is how Gregory's message ends off. The way he says,
But we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Like, I don't know how best to describe it, but this is something I've actually had nightmares about. The feeling of hope fading away is absolutely gut-wrenching. I once saw a video explaining how, in Security Breach, Glamrock Freddy's overly compassionate nature took away from the game's scary feeling, because the game can't feel scary if there's someone, well, like Glamrock Freddy to hold your hand and comfort you. They then explained that having a character express apathy towards the protagonist and their plight made for a more unsettling vibe. I believe that's what disturbs me the most about Gregory's words in the elevator. Cassie has barely escaped death at the hands of a monster in the basement, and all her only friend can tell her is that there's nothing he can do. Then he seemingly betrays her, leaving her to die. Gregory sounds so apathetic in his final words. Imagine being Cassie, standing in a creaky old elevator after narrowly escaping death, and the only person who can help you simply gives up and just says that there's nothing to be done. It's scary because it's the confirmation of your biggest fear: you're alone. Then the elevator falls, which is already scary enough, but this entire sequence is extremely dread-inducing to me. The sound design of the elevator plummeting, the cables snapping and the metal screeching, the flashing red lights, it's incredibly immersive and horrifying to listen to.
Gregory? No!
My favorite detail is when the elevator hits, there's no crashing noise. Instead, it's just Cassie's scream. There's something about it that stands out a lot to me. I think it feels more impactful than just a regular crashing sound because it grounds you more in Cassie's personal experience. I think it's just always good to make sure the protagonist is reacting appropriately to their circumstances. Now, there are two other endings to Ruin. The first one is called the Brazil ending. And to unlock this scenario, you must take a wrong turn at some point during the chase, and you will be led to a dead end. There, you must put on the AR mask where you see an image of Gregory, Vanessa, and Helpy sitting on a hill eating ice cream. Gregory tells Cassie that everything is okay, just before the Mimic comes to kill her.
Right! Hurry!
Cassie, I'm okay. I found a spot to hide.
So basically, this is the AR mask's way of comforting Cassie right before she dies. It's very quick, but it's still very distressing, especially since you can hear Cassie's terrified breathing in the final moments. This ending's name comes from a movie called Brazil, which featured a similar dark ending. where the main character thought he won and lived a happy ending, only for it to end up being a false reality in his mind stuck in while he was actually trapped to a torture chair. A very bleak way to go. The other ending is a little harder to get. You must unlock 4 doors in a different hallway, and then during the final pursuit, you can take a turn down a room that bears a lot of resemblance to the scooping room in Sister Location. In this ending, the Mimic will be wearing a costume made of 3 MCM mascots that he mashed together, possibly to look like Gregory. When he arrives in the room, Cassie activates the giant machine on the ceiling, which grabs the Mimic and drags him into the darkness. When the dust settles, the costume is on the floor, but M2 is no longer there. It's pretty confusing what this room means, but this costume design, called Grimic, is very grotesque and frightening. It's the head and the body of the lion mascot, with the arms and legs of the elephant clown and the bird. The lion's muzzle has been ripped off, most likely to resemble a human face. Wires spill out of gashes in the suit like guts, which is a very nice touch. And the general wear and tear on the fabric is very nicely done. It really looks like M2 aggressively stitched it all together on a whim. There's also a different jump scare animation for this suit too. Both of these endings are really frightening in their own rights, but the elevator ending just wrecks me more. And I think it's because it might just hit harder for me with the fear of betrayal and isolation when you're in a bad place. But I also find it to be the most dramatic cliffhanger of them all. They say a truly scary ending is one that sticks with you after it's all said and done, and that's exactly what this experience was for me. It's the classic moment where the main character's efforts end up being meaningless, and the threat can no longer be contained. Ruin's ending is the scariest one to me because of how complete the despair is here. Cassie voluntarily put herself at risk for a friend, an innocent girl who wanted to do the right thing, but everything she did, every risk, every animatronic she faced was all for nothing. Her kindness was exploited, and by the time the truth arrives, she's already trapped. No exit, not even a rescue from the friend she came here for in the first place. I know other FNAF games have tackled this theme before, the theme of being expendable to someone you trusted. We see it with Michael Afton in Sister Location's ending. We see it with Arnold in Secret of the Mimics ending. But with Ruin, it haunts me more because this isn't a guy with a villainous father or an employee who's been waved away by a corrupt company. These are children, one of whom nearly gave up everything to save the other, and now the other appears to be unwilling to do the same. That's even more tragic to me. It's what makes this betrayal stick out to me the most out of any other in this series. One final thing I'd like to add is how unsettling I find Roxy's line calling out to Cassie after the credits finish rolling.
Cassie.
It's unclear if it was actually Roxy herself or the Mimic pretending to be Roxy. Regardless, it adds to the lingering suspense. That questioning lone call for Cassie in the darkness is really eerie. I imagine either Roxy or M2 standing over Cassie's unconscious body in the darkness. It especially helps to keep the audience wondering what will happen next. You know, I still remember when I first got this ending back on release day. I had finished the game late at night and I was just sitting there for half an hour afterward in shambles. I had goosebumps everywhere, I just sat in the darkness with my mind reeling from what I just saw. That was actually a really disturbing way to end the game. I hadn't been so shook by a FNAF ending in a while. Despite Ruin being a shorter game, I believe it really has one of the more underrated endings in the series. And this could become even more prominent when they eventually get back to it, and Cassie will inevitably confront the Mimic once again. But of course, we'll just have to see. Of all the ways Five Nights at Freddy's has crafted suspenseful moments, the one in Ruin's ending has haunted me the most and sticks with me to this day. I really needed to put this into words because I think there are a lot of underappreciated moments in FNAF for this kind of thing. So I invite you all to share what moment in FNAF that unsettled or stuck with you the most. Whether it's an ending or just a part of the games, let me know of a time FNAF got to you, even if it was only by a little. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to brightening your day in another video.